There's new research right out of Harvard that proves that if you take just 1 minute of an intentional reflection about who you're going to be today, it changes your level of productivity. It changes how you show up as a leader. It changes your ability to impact people, and it changes your effectiveness. Simply a single minute of setting an intention about who you're going to be today. And so when you stand in front of that mirror and you don't ignore yourself like Ed and my husband do, or criticize yourself like 91% of women do on default, and you take a moment to intentionally be with yourself, and you think about the day ahead, even if you've got a lot of stressful stuff going on, especially actually if you have a lot of stressful stuff going on, and you then raise your hand and you begin your day with this high five to yourself, you are sealing that intention that you believe in yourself and that you got it.
Very good.
It's incredible.
Need motivation?
You better watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mel Robbins, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, take some action.
Positive mantras don't work. And they don't work because people pick positive mantras that they don't believe. So if you are in a studio apartment eating rice and beans, barely able to pay your bills, standing in front of a mirror and saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm gonna be a millionaire someday. What happens based on research is your brain's like, actually, have you seen where you live? Like, have you seen that you've quit every job that you've had? Have you seen and heard your negative self-talk? I don't think this is gonna, like, your brain's like, Your brain has a great bullshit detector. And so the mistake people make is they pick a mantra that is the exact opposite of the way they treat themselves.
Is it like, so the way that I've come to it, maybe even in the last 2 months, is my brain actually needs evidence.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
And
you know what evidence it wants? It wants action.
Right.
Oh yeah? Prove it to me. Behavioral activation therapy. Act like the person you say you want to be, and then maybe I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Now, should you still interrupt the beatdown? Absolutely. Absolutely you should. What I'm saying is you got to stop beating the hell out of yourself. But you can't jump immediately to, and it's going to all magically disappear. And I'm going to love my body after beating myself up and hating myself for 20 years. Yeah. It's not going to happen that fast. So, if you want to do mantras, do a more pathetic mantra. Do something that's like a little bit like more achievable. Like, instead of, I love my body after trashing your body for 20 years, say, I deserve to be healthy. Even if you hate your body, anybody and any brain can get behind, yeah, you do. That's right. I'm glad you're waking up. You do deserve to be healthy. Now prove it. Let's take some actions that show you that. So no, mantras don't work if you're picking a mantra you don't believe, and if you're picking a mantra that is the opposite of the way you treat yourself and the actions you take.
Rule number 3, put yourself first.
What you said, by the way, was so strong that we will celebrate other people, but we won't celebrate ourselves until we feel like we have done something.
Yes. You have done something. Every single morning. You've woken up and you're breathing. That's it. Like, think about what it's like to walk into a crowded room and nobody says hello to you. We've all had that experience, right? Of walking into, like, think back to middle school. When you walk into the cafeteria and you're looking for a place to sit and nobody acknowledges you. Like, you just want to disappear in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you have made yourself feel like that. And so there is this moment in the mirror where when you see yourself and you celebrate and high five yourself, you're acknowledging your own existence because you've literally been ignoring yourself. You talk about these themes all the time on the show of self-love and self-confidence and self-awareness. And we've all heard that phrase, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. You got to put yourself first. Nobody knows how to do it. And you do it by fulfilling your own needs. And you can start every day doing it.
Rule Rule number 4, stop waiting to be rescued.
When you're a kid, your parents force you to do the things you don't want to do. Get out of bed, make the bus, eat your vegetables, be nice, look the people in the eye, turn your homework in, don't talk back, like all the things you need to do, right? And what is really interesting about becoming an adult is nobody tells you when you become an adult, now it's your job. Nobody is coming to save your ass. Nobody is going to tell you to get out of bed. Nobody is going to do the work for you. Nobody's rescuing you. Nobody's discovering you. It's up to you. And here's the other piece that nobody tells you. You're never going to feel like it. By the time you're 18, you are already stuck in your ways. You're stuck in your story about yourself. You're stuck in the habits that you have, many of which you picked up by either witnessing what your caregivers were doing or reacting and trying to survive the situation that you were in with your caregivers. So you have a whole set of patterns that you're stuck with. Your brain is designed to repeat patterns. And so now you have a choice. You either live with the patterns that you have or you spot them and you frickin' break them and replace them. And this is why you're never going to feel like doing the things that you want to do. And you have to parent yourself because your brain will always default to its patterns. And so from this point forward, here's what you should assume. I will never feel like doing the shit I need to do, ever. So stop waiting to feel like it. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for inspiration to strike you in the ass and make you get off the couch and finally take the advice that you're giving and take care of your health. Stop waiting to feel like you're going to turn off Netflix and do the kind of evening routine cycle to make sure that you're going to get a great night's sleep. Stop. If you want an amazing life, you're going to have to work for it. If you want to change, you're going to have to break patterns. And the number one rule that is going to help you is to assume you are never going to feel like doing that stuff. So stop expecting it and push your freaking ass to do it. And you can use the 5-second rule, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That'll help you break the pattern. In habit research, it's called a starting ritual that interrupts an old pattern and prompts your mind to focus on a new one. And then you move. That is the only way to change. Just like your parent was annoying. Get up. The bus is coming. I don't care. You're not getting up from this table until that plate is clean. You didn't feel like eating it, but you did. So that tells you something. You are capable. You just don't feel like it.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, embrace your jealousy.
The coolest thing about jealousy,
Okay.
embrace it. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
You are only jealous of the things you authentically want. So for example, for a long time in my life, when we were struggling financially, I was super jealous of anybody that had a big house or was putting on an addition, and I didn't know what to do with my jealousy, so it would consume me. I tell the story in this book of going into a friend's brand new, house at a time in our life where Chris's restaurants were failing and I was unemployed and we were like profoundly in debt. It nearly made me self-combust in this woman's kitchen, okay? And how did I deal with my jealousy? Because I didn't know what it was. We get in the car, and what do you think I did for my poor husband? Why aren't you more successful? I should have married somebody in finance like she did. Why are we in this situation? Like you just aim it at people, right? Because you don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
My jealousy was not about a house. When I finally started to unpack it, it was about my ambition.
Very true.
And so you cannot be jealous of something you don't want. If I believe that jealousy is blocked inspiration.
I've never heard that before.
It is blocked by your fear. It is blocked by insecurity. It is blocked by you have this deep and like you said it earlier, I'm really jealous of this idea, Mel. I wish I had come up with it. You have a new book coming out. I'm not going to say what the title is, but here's what I want you to take away from it. There's something about the simplicity of the idea
Right.
that makes you jealous. That is what your inspiration is trying to get you to pay attention to.
Very good.
So I'm jealous of you. You got this show. You have the discipline to do it all the time. You're translating it into a podcast. I've been sitting on my ass talking about doing a podcast for 4 years. What the old Mel would do before I understood jealousy is, because it's blocked by insecurity, I would then tell myself a story. You're too late. It's already done. There's not enough room for you. If you do it, you're a copycat. All of that just blocks what you really want.
Really true.
Pay attention to your jealousy and stop and unpack it. What really is it about that person? Is it their marriage? Is it the way that they're being treated? Is it how they take care of themselves? What is it about financial freedom and anybody that has it that makes you feel jealous? Really get to the core of what feels right for you and then get to work on it.
Rule number 6, settle down into your body.
You can use something called the vagus nerve. And a tool that I like to talk about is called high-fiving your heart. So you put your hands right here, right like in the center of your chest over your heart, and you say these 3 words. You say, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. And when you put your hands here, you are toning and activating what's called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs all the way from your seat to the top of your head, through every major organ, through your vocal cords. And it is the key. It's the switch between your fight or flight state of anxiety and your calm state. And so first things first, you want to develop a practice first thing in the morning, not only of high-fiving yourself in the mirror, which we're going to get to, which is all about self-confidence and self-esteem and self-love and self-worth. But you're also going to wake up every morning, put your hands right here and go, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. And you're going to say it as many times as you have to, 113, 11 times, 2 times, until you actually feel your body settle down. And you will. You will feel yourself ground back into your body. You will feel something shift. And if you can hear yourself saying those words, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, it's true in that moment. And by putting your hands right here, this is what activates the vagus nerve. Other things that help you tone the vagus nerve, an ice bath, a hot shower, a hot bath, singing, gurgling, humming, chanting, because it stimulates your vocal cords. And so this is a little tool you can use. I love doing it first thing in the morning, but you can use it anytime you feel anxious to settle yourself back in your body.
Rule number 7, let the emotions flow.
You can choose what you tell yourself about a situation that's happening. But it was helpful for me when I started to understand that your emotional waves and your nervous system response happens before your thoughts appear. And so it's really important for everybody to realize you will not be able to control the fact that there will be moments when you're disappointed, moments when you feel rage, moments when you feel betrayed, moments when you feel pissed off, moments when you feel shortchanged, moments when you feel aggravated, and these waves come over you. You will never be able to control those from coming up. But you can choose what you are going to tell yourself about what's happening. And the other thing is that when it comes to trauma, I mean, all of this is sort of dysregulation in your nervous system that's stored there that keeps getting re-triggered. And so if you're dealing with a trauma response, you will not be able to also think your way through it first. And part of what has really helped me is when I started to understand, the wave of emotion and feeling comes before my brain can actually help me get back in control. Yeah. And so when I started to understand that, there's going to be these waves of emotion, don't resist them. Let them come.
Rule number 8, share your true self.
I think your purpose is to share your true self, to be fully seen. And for the Olympian, when you are training and you're in that arena, that is an experience of being seen. And for most people that are lacking purpose, they feel profoundly invisible. And being seen fundamentally comes back to whether or not you even see yourself. And when you start to feel empowered and you start to see yourself and meet you where you are, what happens is every day that you're able to stand with yourself, to accept where you are, to give yourself the compassion, to give yourself the support and the love and the respect and the worthiness that you deserve, you're going to go out into the world and share more of yourself. That Olympic athlete is sharing more of themselves. And so I think our purpose in life is to come back home to ourselves, to reconnect with ourselves, and to empower ourselves to go back out into the world and share our stories and share our experiences and share our full selves with the rest of the world.
Rule number 9, slow down.
This was the insight that I've gained recently. So the 5-second rule, life-changing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pick up the phone, make the call. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get to the gym. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, don't snap at the kids or your husband or your partner. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like, you can push yourself through something or you can put yourself in pause. It is profoundly life-changing. But what I learned during the pandemic was this. There was nowhere to go. There was no plane to catch. There was no speech to give. There was nowhere to drive the kids to. There was no meeting to run to. There was nothing. And I had to be still. I had to be face to face with myself and my dysregulated nervous system and my anxiety, which I had been barreling through for years. And I started to realize that I have been coping with anxiety and worry and stress by running to Target and running to get a cup of coffee and running over here and running over there. And when I had to just sit and be with myself, there was a lot about that was really uncomfortable. I'm not used to being still. I'm not comfortable being in my own body. At least I wasn't. I was used to the external validation and the external energy and racing from one thing to the next. And I equated being busy with being successful and happy and okay. And when all of a sudden the world stopped and there was nowhere to go and everything was getting canceled and I had been fired from my dream job as a talk show host and my book contract had been canceled and the speeches were canceling and the kids were now all home and they were in various straits of psychological breakdown and the world was upside down, I lost my coping mechanism, which was to distract myself by being busy. And that's when the anxiety became roaring back. And I learned the most powerful thing in the world, which is the ability to stand face to face with yourself in the mirror and know that no matter what, you are going to be okay because you have your own back. That no matter what, no matter how hard this is right now, it really is temporary. And if you look at your life like a giant school, and some years are a party, and some years suck. And those years that suck are the years that you learn the most. And that everything is teaching you something. And what this last year and a half of my life has taught me is that the strength that I've been looking for all over the place running around has actually been in here all along. And when you slow down and you start to stand with yourself face to face and you rely on yourself for the support and the pep talk and the empowerment and the celebration and the validation that you've been looking for in so many other places, you will unlock a level of confidence and a level of resilience and a level of just strength that's been in there all along. It's actually been building during the parts of your life.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is play the look for hearts game.
There's another exercise, another habit that I have, I call looking for hearts. This is going to sound so dumb, but please, this is so freaking cool, it's unbelievable. You won't try this stuff in terms of the big stuff. Like, it's hard to change what you think about yourself. Really hard. I mean, that stuff is wired into your nervous system. You look back, you see tons of evidence, but I am damaged. But I have done things that I regret. But I am a bad person. But I screwed up that relationship and I did this thing and I'm a up. And like all this garbage you say to yourself, it is like in your body. So you're going to have to get intentional and be like, I'm done living with this crap. And the imagery that I have is like, imagine it snows. When you get intentional with the high five habits, you can literally plow a new path in snow. That's what a neural pathway is. And I can show you that it's true if you play the heart rock game with me. I want you to, after listening to this, spend the rest of the day and just tell your mind, I really want to see a heart. Whether it's just a naturally occurring shaped heart, whether it's a rock on a path or a symbol in on the top of your coffee or a stain on the floor of the garage or a leaf on the ground. I want you to just be like, I got to find a heart today. And just be open to it. And all of a sudden you're going to find one. And then here's how you really like amp up your hairnet on your brain going, ooh, she really thinks this is important. Let's look for more hearts. I want you, when you see that heart, to go, oh, I found it. The universe, God, that was put there for me. That is cool. And when you kind of do that little like mood vibe through your nervous system, it is like the opposite of negative trauma. It's like a positive wave in your nervous system that makes your brain go, this shit's really important. And so now you'll start to see, once you play this game, you'll start to see it everywhere. And when you play this game with your RAS, look for hearts, and you start to see, whoa, wait a minute. My brain is showing me what I'm telling it I want to see. Oh, wait a minute, there's a Bronco. I don't even want one. And just because I heard Mel talking about it, now I'm seeing a Bronco. Whoa. Now you can get into the deeper thing of getting intentional about how you talk to yourself, intentional about not getting dragged down by guilt or insecurity or people pleasing or anxiety or fear or failure, all that crap that takes your attitude low. I want you to stay in a high five attitude. When a manager or a boss defines norms, the team is 73 times more likely to work hard to keep them. And here's the kicker. They're 125 times more likely to address the situation if there's somebody on the team who is not operating within the norms. You know, it's so obvious. I mean, think about it. If somebody were to walk in to work and put their feet up on the desk and turn on porn and be sitting at their desk watching porn, would that be the norm for your workplace? I don't think so, unless you're working for Playboy or you're working in the porn industry. That would be so out of the norm that everybody would address it immediately, period, full stop. And what I want you to understand is that when you take responsibility for how you're acting on the team, and you're collaborative, and you're supportive, and you're putting the team first, and you're modeling that behavior, and when you also bring the courage, and you dare, as Brene Brown says, to be brave enough to have honest conversations with your colleagues about what's acceptable and what's not based on how things are impacting you, you personally shift the culture in a positive direction. Everything that I have done since we launched the 5-Second Rule book was in reaction to things that were coming to me. So I never sat out and said, hey, the 5-Second Rule audiobook has been a complete record breaker. We clearly have an audio audience. Let's go pitch Audible. Right. Audible came to me, which is fantastic. I always dreamt about having a talk show, but I wasn't out pitching one. Sony came to me. In fact, the only reason why we got into courses, online courses, and we now have more than 500,000 people that have taken our courses online, was because Success Magazine came to me and said, let's do a course together.
I remember I was there interviewing you for it.
I hated it. Because what I discovered is I hate being told what to do. And so, but that gave me the idea, we should do courses ourselves. And so this pause has made me stop and go, well, what do I really want to do? And the truth is, I want to go and make the biggest possible impact that I can. Mm-hmm. And I want to collaborate with more people. Yeah. And I want to do events. And And I don't want to be the CEO. I'm a terrible leader, horrible leader, the worst actually, because I'm amazing at coaching. I'm amazing at creating. I'm amazing at reacting. I'm terrible at managing people. I am terrible at managing a project. I have ADD. I have dyslexia. I'm a bulldozer when I get anxious. I
Very
hate
similar,
it when people.
Mel.
I know we are.
Like,
That's how we'd kill each other if we were roommates or business partners. But I think understanding yourself is really important. And so there's a couple things that I've decided. Number one, I'm going to consciously create the next chapter.
And what is that?
And I'm still in the middle of doing it.
Yeah. But you want to do events, you want to do these things you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to collaborate more with a wider audience of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to build a brand bigger than Mel Robbins.
Yep.
I don't want it to just be me. I want to build a platform-based business that reaches more people. Because here's the thing that got me through kind of the loss of the talk show and the way that I think about things that I hope helps if you're listening and you're kind of struggling with something. I believe, and I went into the talk show saying this to myself because there's a 99% chance based on the history of people that have tried to have a daytime talk show that it was going to fail. And I went in there saying, I'm not doing this because I expect to have a successful talk show. I'm going to put 1,000% into it so that I have no regrets and I wouldn't change a thing. But I'm going into this because I know that there is a skill, a person, or an experience I am meant to have that will help me for the next chapter that I can't see coming. Now, here's a trick about gratitude. Writing down what you're grateful for doesn't work unless you do it this way. Because if I ask you what you're grateful for, everybody says the same thing. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for my health. And I'm grateful for my family. And that's so generic that you're not retraining your brain.
Right.
You've got to add in the because.
Right.
I'm grateful for X because.
Okay.
And the added detail will make you change up what you say, and it will also train your mind in a way that's more detailed, so it actually has a lasting impact on the way that you view the world. Here's the thing about morning routines. I think morning routine envy is a real thing. And I do believe that a lot of people lie about their morning routines. I think lying about your morning routine is a real thing. I think pretending you have the perfect morning routine is a real thing. When I'm home, I'm almost 80% in my morning routine. I get it done because it's super simple.
Right. So, I think I need a simple one.
Yes. And when I'm traveling, I almost never get the whole thing done because there's too many excuses. I think the key to having a morning routine, and morning routines are critical because how you start your day has a massive proven impact on how your day turns out. There's one piece of research that I think is really profound, and this comes from Sean Anker. I talked about this yesterday, but I'm gonna tell you this too, Susie. If you consume 3 minutes, just 3 minutes of negative news, of negative television, of negative emails, maybe stressful emails from work or stressful texts from friends, you have more than a 50% chance 8 hours later to say you had a bad day. And the reason why is because of what consuming that kind of information does to your mind. It literally sets your mind up to be on the lookout for things going wrong. And so the reason why a morning routine is actually so important is because, number one, it determines what your priority for the day is. And we also know based on research that your mood in the morning, it impacts your productivity all day long. Just because you identify, and for me as a kid, for whatever reason, I have my own version of feeling invisible and feeling like I'm not good enough. And so my way of coping both with my anxiety and being a survivor of sexual abuse and and wanting love, which we all need, is I was like an overachiever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the kind of person that's super busy and a go-getter because it got me attention. And if I was the one that was super busy and achieving, I not only got praise, but it also insulates you from other people not picking you because you're the one in a leadership role doing the picking.
Right.
And so there's a part of me at the age of 51 that is realizing that, these feelings of feeling unworthy and this hyper drive to try to achieve, it's all coming from a place of feeling inadequate or like what I'm doing is not enough. And
Still,
so that's
at 50, having the talk show, having a best-selling book, having the Audible originals, having the platform everywhere, having the impact, it still don't feel, being the most booked female speaker in the world, like you still don't feel.
It's so stupid. It's annoying. And human beings are annoying. We are stuck with this wiring. Like if you think about it, like all of the crap you believe is probably a hangover from age 0 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
That as adults, we walk around thinking the same stuff we thought as kids. And I can't stand that I feel that way, but knowing it, it allows me to catch it before it stops me from having an event or writing that next book or taking a risk.
If you took money off the table, if you didn't give a shit what anybody else thought, what's the thing you would love to be doing with your life? Seriously. Do you dream of being a professional photographer? Do you want to open your own restaurant? You always thought about traveling the world and entertaining kids with your juggling skills. I don't know. It's your life. You get to choose what you want to do. Be honest with yourself. What is it that you would want to do with your life if you didn't have to pay the bills doing it? Another thing you can ask yourself, who do you find yourself sort of envious of? Like you look at their life and you just think, gosh, how awesome that they get to do that. Well, once you have that answer for yourself, you've gotten really honest, you've pushed the bullshit aside, and you've really asked it for yourself and answered the question honestly, all you got to do is explore it. That's it. Just find one thing that you can do to enrich and expand your knowledge about it. Find one course online, Google the topic, stalk people that are pursuing this line of work. That's how you start to do it, one step at a time. So start with answering the question, what do you really want, with a massive dose of honesty. Google the topic and find one thing that you can do, just one. Push yourself and start to explore it. If you were to wake up and do that every single day, spend 10 minutes a day, you would be startled, astonished by what your life looks like in a matter of a year or two.
I need a volunteer coming up. Hi, how scared are you right now?
About a 12 or 15 or 30.
On a scale of 10?
Yeah.
Yes. Good, you're perfect. Okay. So I have an envelope. You can either open this up and read what it says, but you have to do it.
Oh, no.
How afraid are you for her? Or you can give it to somebody else. Now, what are you managing right now?
My heart rate is just like out there. Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Life's about change, so I'll open it.
Okay.
Come up on stage with Mel.
Give her a standing ovation. She deserves it. So again, same rules. Open it up, read it to the audience, and then do what it says. How scared are you?
I'm a little nervous because I'm not sure what you're going to want me to do. I'm shy.
Really? That's baloney.
Tell everyone in the audience the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you.
All right, you ready for another one?
Sure.
How scared are you?
Less.
She'll be speaking at the next conference. You watch.
Yes, I will. Congrats. Life Vantage is paying for your registration and 3-night hotel stay at the Elite Academy in Orlando.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, my word! It's overwhelmed joy. Just the peace I think that can come with really choosing to change.
You know, I've heard a lot of experts say that fear isn't real. That is such a bunch of baloney. Fear is so real. In fact, there are probably things that you're afraid of doing right now in your life, in your relationships, at work. And the fact that you're afraid, that's robbing you of all of the experiences that you want to have in your life. I mean, if you're afraid to fly, that's going to limit your ability to travel and see the world or go visit friends. If you're afraid of public speaking, that's going to really limit your ability to express yourself and share your ideas. If you're afraid of talking to your boss or asking for a raise, that directly impacts how much money you make. Or what if you are dreaming of starting a business, or you've already started a new business, but you're afraid to talk to people and you're afraid to share your business with people? I mean, fear is something that stops us all. And that's why I'm here to talk to you, because it doesn't have to. Fear is real, but I am going to share a secret weapon that I have used for years to beat every single fear that used to stop me. Now, first, before we get into this secret weapon, I just want to cover a few facts about fear, what it is, what it isn't, and some things that you may not know about fear. So first thing, fear is a physical state in your body that is exactly the same as excitement. Let me say that again. Fear and excitement are the exact same physical state. Your heart races. You might sweat a little bit. You might feel tightening in your chest. You might feel a pit in your stomach. You have a surge of cortisol. It's basically the way that your body goes into a hyper-aware state because it's readying for action. Now, what's the difference between fear and excitement? Really simple. The only difference between fear and excitement is what your brain is doing as your body is all agitated. If you're excited, your brain's going, oh, wow, this is going to be so cool to ride this roller coaster. If you're afraid, your brain's going, no way, there's no way I'm doing that. This is dangerous. Get out of there. Don't do that. It's saying something different. So what's critical about understanding this is that we're going to use the fact that your mind is either working for you for excitement or against you with fear to your advantage. And I'll tell you about it in just a minute, how you're going to do that. Second thing I want you to understand is that you may have heard the advice, feel the fear and do it anyway. You may have heard the advice, oh, just try to calm down. Think positive thoughts. It doesn't work, does it? And there's a reason why it doesn't work. So let's go back to fact number one. When you're afraid, your body's in a state of arousal and agitation, and your heart is racing, and you're all like amped up, and you're hyper aware of what's going on, and you're freaking out a little bit. What is it like when you're calm? You just kind of chill, right? You got like this low arousal state. Very, very difficult to go from a state of agitation of being all jacked up and excited and weirded out and to a kind of state. It doesn't work. It's like trying to stop a train by throwing a boulder on the tracks. It's going to make the train jump off the tracks. It's going to cause a disaster. In fact, they've proven in research that when you try to ignore your fears, it actually makes them worse. And they've also proven in research that positive thinking alone also can make your fears worse. So, what do you do? What do you do when you're about to go talk to your boss and you feel afraid? What do you do when you have to get on a plane and you're actually terrified of flying? What do you do if you got to give a presentation and you are afraid of public speaking? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to use a strategy, the same one that I use, that has helped me beat every single fear and turned me into somebody that is terrific when it comes to a high-stress situation. This is how you do it. You're going to use my 5-second rule in combination with what I call an anchor thought, and that is going to reframe what your mind is doing so that your mind goes from feeling agitation and making you afraid to reframing it from agitation to excitement. It works like magic. Now, I have used this technique for years, literally for years. And one of the ways that I want to introduce you to it is I want to take you backstage. I want to take you backstage to a speech that I delivered this year. And what you're going to see is you're going to see me behind, the major set. I'm about to walk out. You can kind of hear the crowd roaring. My introductory video is playing. My body is in a state of arousal. I am literally, my heart is racing, my arms are sweating. It's like you're going to see this. I'm going to tell you about it. And you're going to watch me use this same technique I'm going to teach you to reframe my nerves into excitement. Check this out.
All right, I'm about to go on stage. There are 7,000 people out there, and it's so exciting because what they don't know is they're about to learn the 5-second rule, and their lives will never be the same again. Now, I got to tell you, my heart is racing. My armpits are sweating. I have the exact same physiological feeling as when I'm afraid, but I'm not afraid. I'm excited. Excitement and fear is the exact same thing in your body. It's just what your brain calls it. Here's a trick that's proven by science that I use every time I speak. When I start to sweat, when I start to have butterflies, when I start to have my heart race, I say, I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there. I'm excited to talk to these people. I'm excited to share the 5-second rule. And what that does is it sends a message to my brain that tells my brain why my body's all agitated and excited. And that way, I don't feel afraid. Remember, excitement and fear, exact same thing in your body. The only difference is what your brain calls it. Go get them.
Now, I want to give you one more example, just to make sure that you really get how you can use this. So a lot of you have written to me about your fear of flying, and I can really relate to that fear because I used to have the exact same fear. But I use this same strategy to conquer it. Here's how you're going to do it. So first things first, if you've got to do something that really makes you nervous or that you're afraid to do, before you're about to do it, come up with an anchor thought. What's an anchor thought? Well, an anchor thought is something that's going to anchor you so that you don't escalate any situation into a full-blown panic attack or into a situation where you screw things up. It's a way for you to anchor yourself so you maintain control over what you're thinking and how you behave. So here's an example with flying. It's important when you're creating an anchor thought to pick something that is in the proper context of what you're afraid to do. So for flying, pick an anchor thought that has to do with the trip that you're taking. So if I'm boarding a plane to fly back home to Michigan, an anchor thought might be a picture in my mind of my mom and I walking on the shores of Lake Michigan where I grew up. That's a thought that makes me happy, it makes me excited, and it's also related to the trip that I'm taking. If you have a conversation that you need to have with your boss, pick an anchor thought about how you feel after having that conversation. Maybe it's you picking up the phone and calling somebody that you love and saying, oh my gosh, it went so well. Or, you walking out of the meeting and feeling like, yeah, I survived that conversation. I feel pretty good about myself. So now that you have your anchor thought, you're ready to beat the fear.
What is the biggest obstacle that we face? Tiago, it's simple. It's self-doubt. It's not fear. It's not lack of money. It's not lack of supporters. It's the fact that deep down inside, you will doubt yourself at critical moments. And here's the problem with self-doubt. Self-doubt doesn't have to stop you. The problem with self-doubt is that the second that you feel a little doubtful, the second that you start to question yourself, you physically hesitate. That hesitation has become a habit that stops you. Because the moment you hesitate, it wakes up your brain starts thinking, and then you hold yourself back. You guys know I talk about the 5-second rule incessantly. It's the title of the new book that I'm writing that's coming out in 2017. The 5-second rule is a tool that battles self-doubt. Because in those moments, those tiny micro moments, when you're faced with, should I do this or should I not? Should I speak in a meeting? Should I hold back my ideas? Should I have this tough conversation or should I wait till later? The second you doubt the option of moving forward, you hesitate. Then you think, then you hold back. That's how it happens every single time. That's how you sabotage your success. That's how you rob yourself of joy. That habit of hesitating the moment that you feel doubt is killing your dreams. The single biggest obstacle in life, Tiago, is the doubt that you feel. And the single biggest mistake that you're making is that you hesitate when you feel it. If you start to use the 5-second rule in those moments to just physically move forward within 5 seconds of feeling that doubt, you'll win.
The talk show experience was almost like it's weird. It almost feels like it didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah.
It was your
Maybe
whole
it's
life for like 2 years.
Yeah, but 175 shows. It was super intense. It was almost a spiritual experience because I had dreamt about it for as long as I could remember. And I stepped onto that talk show set with such a level of mastery. And the reason why I had a level of mastery is because I could look backwards at my life and see that I had been heading to that moment for my entire life. That the ability to create trust and take a complicated amount of information and get down to the human connection immediately, that began back in 1994 when I was a legal aid attorney doing criminal defense work in New York City. My ability to understand what victims of domestic violence go through goes all the way back to 1986 through 1988 when I was a crisis intervention counselor volunteering on a domestic violence hotline.
Wow.
My ability to read a teleprompter had to do with being at CNN. My ability to work 18-hour days was a function of the reality TV show world. My ability to relate to somebody who had lost everything was a function of what Chris and I had gone through. My ability, just everything all of a sudden was like, and it's why I can say with such urgency that you have to have faith that this is happening for a reason, that this is leading somewhere.
I'm going to take everybody back 4 years ago. So this is the first book, The High Five Habit is the first book that I have written and published in almost 5 years. Back in 2007, I released a book called The 5-Second Rule. And Lisa and her husband, Tom, played a pivotal role in one of the biggest professional breakdowns of my life. And they had no idea that it was happening at the time.
No clue.
And Lisa, I think you just found out about it by reading about it in chapter 12 of my new book.
Yep.
So here's what was going on. I had written the 5-Second Rule book. I had self-published it because I thought that that was the best thing to do. I had a dream of being a #1 New York Times bestselling author. And I put it up on my vision board, and I dreamed about it, and I thought about it, and I studied all the authors that we all admire. And I did my best to do all the things that you are supposed to do in order to sell enough books to grace the New York Times bestseller list, right? So I email my newsletter list, and I am doing speeches all over the place, and I'm pre-selling books as best I can in the back of a room with my pad of paper, taking people's, like literally for months, I did everything I could. And when the book came out, I sent the email out to everybody. And folks on my email list and everybody I'm related to immediately went to Amazon to buy the book. And here's what happened. Within an hour or two, the book was listed as out of stock. Now, I thought, yes, yes, I have won. I am a best-selling author. I have sold out of Amazon in a matter of a few hours. Oh my God. This literally, this proves all the things that everybody said about me in middle school is not true anymore. I've done it, Lisa. And then I started to realize I had not sold all the books. Because I had 20,000 books at Amazon. I did not have that many people on my email list. And people started to email back going, it's out of stock, it's out of stock, it's out of stock.
You think your dream, like the height of your freaking dreams come true at this point?
Yes, I think I've done it. Like I've sold, like I am a success. I'm a phenomenon. This is unbelievable. I think the dreams are coming true. And then within a couple hours, people start emailing going, it's out of stock, Mel. It's out of stock. It's out of stock. It's out of stock. It dawns on me, there's no way I sold 20,000 books. There's no way. I call the printer that I worked with that helped me self-publish, and it's a little self-publishing publisher. And he tells me that he's seen this happen before, where when Amazon gets a flood of traffic to something that they're not expecting, they will turn off supply to make sure it's not a bunch of bots and to also check inventory. And we had no ability to figure this out. So for the first couple weeks that the book was available, it was out of stock. So here I am in this 2-week period where I have worked my ass off. I have done everything you're supposed to do, Lisa. And my book is out of stock. I have sent my entire marketing campaign to a product you can't get. And I'm thinking, why are you doing this to me, universe? I have worked hard. Why do I have to be the bad news bearers? Why am I not part of that super awesome group of best-selling authors? When is it going to be my turn? And I start to go down the drain. Enter Tom and Lisa Bilyeu. So when I come here and I am doing your show, I show up here and I'm like, this is my last hope. Because by the time this thing gets on air, maybe the book will be available. I have got to pull myself together. So I walk in here and I was just, I didn't know you yet because I only knew impact theory and I'd only seen it. I knew this was a big deal. I knew that being on Tom's show could really change things for me. And I walk in here and I feel like a complete failure. You are lovely and delightful. And I immediately start feeling like I don't freaking belong here. I mean, they just had this best-selling author and that best-selling author and this famous person was just here. What am I doing here? I am a self-published author with a book that's out of stock. I'm failing. I hope that they don't know because this is terrible. He is going to figure out before I enter the set that I don't belong here.
You think imposter syndrome galore?
Oh, completely. So I'm upstairs in the bathroom and I am having a case, no kidding, of stress diarrhea. I have got to empty the bowels because I am so sure that I'm about to be called out for the fraud that I am, that the book is not successful, that Tom's made a mistake. I look at the mirror, my cheeks are as red as a baboon's ass. I am sweating profusely. I've got pit stains on my red shirt. And then there's a knock on the door. We're ready for you, Mel. I splash water on my face. I literally am like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pull your shit together, Mel, get the fuck out there. And I open up the door and I go. And one of the things that you believe that I believe too is that your feelings are going to rise and they're going to fall. And feeling nervous and feeling scared and feeling on edge and imposter syndrome, it's all normal stuff. You got to develop the ability to feel all that stuff, have your cheeks be as red as a baboon's butt, and walk out there and do it anyway. That's what you've got to develop in life. And that moment taught me that. And there was something else that happened. So when I left that set, the whole time that the book was out of stock and I'm sitting here going, woe is me, and I've failed again, and I screw everything up, and why doesn't anything ever work out for me? I would catch myself and I would say this: there's no way, Mel, that you've worked this hard, that something amazing isn't going to happen. You have to keep going. You have to believe that this moment is preparing you for something amazing that hasn't happened yet. I have been practicing this habit for a little over a year. And it all began in April of 2020. And this is not something that I was like, okay, I got to write a book. It's got to have a 5 in it. It's going to be 5 years since I've written a book. Thank you, dyslexia and ADHD. What am I going to write about? What am I? That's not how this happened. The high 5 habit saved me. It was a ladder that helped me climb out of a hole I had fallen into emotionally, physically, spiritually. And a year later, after practicing what is going to sound like a weird, stupid thing which you will resist. And Jay, you and I are going to unpack this because it's sad why everybody resists it. It has to do with the dust that's accumulated. And I will tell you, after a year of practicing this, I don't even see a face or a body. I see a soul. I don't even have to high five myself. I still do because it feels good. And we're going to explain the science that is bananas about why this actually works for everybody who tries it. Because this is not something that's new. You are tapping into programming that's already in your mind and body and now directing it back at yourself. It's incredible. I don't ever criticize myself. I don't ever see what's wrong. I see a human being who's trying, who deserves love and respect, and I know that it's my job to give it to her. You know, the 5-second rule, which I created, I don't know, over a decade ago, that's gone on to help me change my whole life. It's a little starting ritual and a brain hack that you can use to help yourself take the actions and change the thoughts that change your life. It helped me be more productive. It helped me get stuff done. The high five habit has changed who I am. It has deleted a lifetime of criticism and negativity from my mind, and it has reprogrammed the soundtrack to be somebody that's supportive and a cheerleader. It's extraordinary. My brand of self-help is Mel's life is kind of up at the moment, and she can't figure out how to help herself, so she stumbles by accident on something really stupid on its face, and it feels good. And then I share it with my audience, and if they pick up on it, then I'm like, okay, we're on to something. So for me, the high five, Tom, began, I'm fired from my talk show, my book contract is canceled, every speech has been canceled, my kids are now home, so we've got 3 kids, 22, 20, age 15, all in varying states of distress. I am triggered because my origin story, as you know, from being on the show and us being friends, the 5-second rule was 12 years ago, losing everything. And so I'm now having this feeling like I'm about to lose everything. And I'm also feeling like I'm losing grip on reality as the pandemic is hitting and as my kids are in distress. And I don't know what to do, just like everybody on the planet. I find myself in my bathroom one morning in my underwear, and I am having this spiral of negative thoughts. I look like shit. I don't know how to fix this. I wish somebody would solve this for me. I feel overwhelmed. I feel scared about my parents' health. I feel scared about everybody on the front lines. And even though I'm literally, like you, somebody that empowers other people, I didn't know what the fuck to say to myself. And as pathetic as it sounds, I found myself just raising my hand, just in a way to basically be like, shut up, Mel. Come on, girl. You, like, put your shoulders back, lift your chin. You got this. You can do this. And something shifted, and I went on with my day. And then the next morning, I walk into my bathroom, and this is the other weird thing about the high five. I've literally either criticized myself or ignored myself in the mirror for decades. When you start to have a moment with yourself, the crazy part is you start to build a partnership with yourself.
That's interesting.
Like, you know, when you are pulling out of your driveway or you're walking down the street and you see a neighbor and they greet you, you will start to have that experience when you create this intentional moment with yourself in the mirror every morning. And so as I started to do this, I thought, this is actually making me feel like the wind is at my back when I leave the bathroom. It's making me feel just like when you leave a huddle in sports and you high five, or you're a runner running a race or doing some big endurance challenge and some spectator high fives you, or another racer's like, come on, you got this, as you're dragging down low. It gives you a little energy. Like, I think too about this high five a lot. Like, I know you're friends with David Goggins. I'm a huge fan of Goggins. And I know there's a lot of people that watch this show, especially men, that are like, this sounds kind of stupid. This is the equivalent of Goggins' cookie jar moment. So we all think, like, we've all been raised like, tough love, hard on myself, this, bullshit. The research is clear on this. Being hard on yourself is not motivating. It's demotivating. And if you already feel like a failure, or you feel a sense of shame, or you're overwhelmed, beating yourself up for where you are does not work. it drives you into the gutter. The most motivating force in the world, on the planet, based on research, hands down, is empowerment, encouragement, support, and celebration. And for our entire lives, we have outsourced that to somebody else. The research is very clear. So the NBA study, they did this big study looking at NBA teams, and they could predict in the study who was going to be in the championship rounds based on, in the preseason, what teams had the most high fives, fist bumps, and back pats. Why? Because those kind of gestures create partnership and trust. And I'm here to tell you, when you start doing it in the mirror, you're creating partnership and trust with yourself. So the holidays are upon us, and I wanted to share my 3 rules around the holidays to make sure that even if you have a very dysfunctional family, you can focus on the fun in dysfunctional, okay? So here are my 3 rules. And they're all like the 3 Ps of the holidays, okay? So you can think about holiday dinner, you don't like to eat your peas. These are the Ps that you want to focus on. You ready? Number 1, no politics. Seriously, do not utter anything about anything related to politics. We live in a crazy, polarized, whacked out time right now when it comes to politics. There is no safe topic, even if everybody voted for the same people. Do not discuss it. That's rule number 1, no politics. The second P, leave the past in the past. Do not dance into Thanksgiving dinner or any holiday that you're celebrating during this long season and expect it to be the moment in time that you're going to resolve everything that's happened to you in your past. That belongs in a therapy session or during a long walk in the woods when you're actually focused on healing in the past. For now, you just want to get along with everybody. You want to have a fun time. You don't want to make this too heavy, and you do not want to be the one bringing the drama to the table. Leave that to one of your uncles or your aunts, okay? And number 3, pretend you care, okay? No politics. Don't heal the past. Pretend you care. It's not that difficult. You don't have to love everybody. You don't have to like everybody. But show up and actually demonstrate behavior that makes people feel as if you care. What does that mean? It means ask a lot of questions. Listen. Follow up with more questions. And you know the great thing about asking lots of questions of the folks that are there at the holidays with you? Number 1, it takes the focus off of you. So if you're worried about talking about where you are or you aren't in your life, ask a lot of questions. You won't be talking about yourself at all. And number 2, when other people are talking, they think you're very interesting. That's true. The secret to human beings is be interested, because when you're interested in everybody else, suddenly you're the most interesting person in the room while they're talking. For those of you that feel very overwhelmed because of home, work, side hustle, and you're a woman, you probably also feel guilty about taking time to work on your side hustle. That's because women, girls, we are raised to be good girls, we're raised to be good daughters, we're raised to be seen and not heard, we're raised to take care of people. It's socialized into you. And you see your mothers, by the way, also sacrifice everything to take care of everybody else and to put themselves last. This is a learned behavior. So if you also are a woman, you probably feel guilty for taking time for yourself. Stop that. You have to stop that. The reason why you have to stop that is, first of all, if you're a mom, you've got to show your daughters and your sons what it looks like to pursue your dreams. Secondly, as a woman, you're not going to get what you want if you're constantly putting guilt on yourself for taking time for yourself. And third, the only way you will discover the power and potential inside of you is if you push that generational bullshit to the side and you actually realize that your life is for you. That your mom, you know why she sacrificed everything she did? Because she wanted you to pursue your dreams. So knock it off with the guilt, because the guilt is also contributing to the overwhelm. The guilt is making you not talk to your partner or your boss or your colleagues or your friends about what you need for support. The guilt is adding weight to you not being able to carve out the time and be disciplined to find the time for yourself. And so it has got to go. You hear me? Get rid of it.
Rule number 8, change your story.
Isn't it interesting that age is something that measures the amount of time that's gone by, but don't you have a lot of baggage about your age?
you're either too young or you're too old or too much time has passed or you blew it and you wasted your 30s or now that you're 40 or this or you're only 20. I mean, it's insane how much baggage we all have about our age. And so I'm writing about how to remove that story and how to recognize that whatever time has passed, whether it's a teeny amount of time because you're just a high school student or it's a lot of amount of time because you're 60 years old, and to understand that life is an inside game. And it's all about your mindset, and it's all about what you do with the time that you have right now. You can launch anything. You can begin anything, period, as long as you are willing to do the work for it.
If you're somebody that suffers from anxiety, first of all, here's what you need to know. It's not a disease. Period. It's not a disease. Here's what you need to understand. Anxiety always begins with a worry. Always. It begins with a thought that is triggered by something. So if you suffer from anxiety, you wake up in the morning and your mind spins. You lay in bed at night and your mind spins. You walk into work and you feel anxious in your body. I want you to write down all the things that trigger you to feel anxious. Interestingly, another major trigger is being home or going home and that moment right before your partner walks in the door. If you feel anxious when your partner's about to walk in or you're about to walk into your own home, that is a major signal that you're in the wrong relationship, that there is something incredibly off and you either need to get into counseling, but that is one that we hear a lot about.
Wow.
Because you're walking into a situation that feels uncertain.
Yeah.
A lot of people, by the way, had parents that were abusive or parents that were yellers. So they also are experiencing ghosts from the childhood of it's 5 o'clock, dad's about to come home and pour a drink and everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
So write down the triggers, okay? Because having kind of the triggers ahead of time will help you come up with a plan for how you're going to catch yourself when your mind defaults to the automatic ways that it thinks. Then what I want you to write down next to the trigger is what exactly are you worried about? So having the trigger and then the what do I worry about? I worry that my boss is going to yell. I worry that my partner's going to yell. I worry that I'm going to get in trouble. I worry that my friends are going to laugh at me. I worry that I'm going to be whatever the f*** it may be. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write down what I call an anchor thought. An anchor thought is something that weighs you down and it makes you excited. And so here's how the strategy works with the 5-second rule. The next time you're in a situation, and let's just use the example of pulling into your own driveway or your own apartment, and maybe you've got issues with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your roommate, and that makes you unsettled. The second you pull in and you feel the trigger, you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I want to interrupt your mind from going into the I don't like, what if I did, and then you're going to drop in the anchor thought of the last time that you and your roommate really got along well, or the last time that you stood up for yourself and it went fine. And
or your puppy.
Yeah, or a puppy or whatever. And you're going to say, I'm so excited to deal with this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get out of your car, even though your body is going to feel a little unsettled and your mind's going to race. Go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you start to be like, but what, and then walk in the door. And what I'm teaching you to do is to not let your mind hijack you.
Right.
And it's very important because there's a very tight nexus between your habit of worrying and spiraling your thoughts and the way your body starts to amp up. And so we want to settle your mind so we don't agitate your body. You got it?
Yeah.
And so if you start to practice that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and for you 18-year-olds that are watching this, use this with the nerves that you have about what you're going to do with your life. Use this when you catch yourself worrying about college applications, because worrying about the applications won't get them done. Worrying about what your friends are doing won't make it happen. Worrying about what you're going to be doing when you're 25 or how you're going to make money, it's not going to help you make money right now. It's only going to make you miserable.
Right.
So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut off that habit.
Yeah.
That'll stabilize your body, and then go to a vision of you at the age of 25, driving a car that you think is cool and hanging out with a friend that's cool and saying to yourself, I'm so excited because I know I'm going to figure it out. Because you don't need to worry about that shit right now.
Yeah.
But it becomes a habit that destroys your year this year. I've looked into the research. There's only one habit and skill, just one, that has a direct impact on how much money you make, a direct impact on whether or not you get the promotion and the influence and the cash money that you deserve. And do you know what that is? Any ideas? The one skill, the one habit, the one thing that has a meaningful behavior change that impacts what you get. It's your visibility. You see, you don't get credit, you don't get paid for, and you don't get graded on the things that people can't see. In order for you to get what you deserve, you have to start being deliberate about your visibility, behavior that you got to start learning to do, whether you're shy, whether you're introverted, whether English is your second language, it doesn't matter. You've got to learn how to speak up. You've got to learn how to share your ideas. You've got to learn how to talk about your business. You've got to learn to talk about your dreams and your goals. And I know for many of you, that is one of the most terrifying things in the world. You hate being the center of attention. The idea of speaking in a meeting at work and risking sounding like you don't know what you're talking about is really scary. The idea of asking for feedback from your boss or asking for a raise, really scary. The idea of going in and talking to your professor about adjusting your grade, really scary. The idea of raising your hand, I get it. I read your emails, I see the comments, but you've got to understand that this is the number one skill that you need in order to increase your visibility, wherever it is that you need to increase your visibility. There's a lot of you that are running from things instead of running to things. And that's a huge difference, running from something versus running to something. And so I want you to think about that for a minute, because you don't have to move across country to change your life. And you don't have to do something drastic to experience drastic positive change. And here's the thing about running away from your problems, running away from your past. Have you ever noticed that when you run away, it tends to follow you? You know, I used to have this problem in relationships. And the reason why I had this problem is because I was a very unhappy person. I didn't like myself truly as a person until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I spent, as sad as this is, I spent the first 46 years of my life really not liking myself, really feeling like I wasn't a good person, really questioning the sanity of people that were in love with me or that were friends of mine because I had such a low opinion of myself. And it didn't matter. You know, I was guilty not of moving from one city to another, but I was guilty of moving from one person to another. That I would literally get in a relationship, I would be in a relationship for a year, and then I would start to feel that unsettled feeling. Because what happens after a year of being in a relationship? Well, you got to start working on it. It's no longer the thrill and the delight, and it's new and you're dating. Now it's just you and the person in your life. There's nothing new about it. And so all your old crap starts to show up. And that's when you got to start to do the work. And so it was about the year or the year and a half mark in almost every single relationship that I would start getting that itchy feeling. And the reason why I was getting that itchy feeling is because my past was now there. This new relationship was no longer new. And so I was no longer distracted by it. And I was going to have to deal with myself in order to be happy. And so what did I do for years? Not even just years, decades, everybody. I'm not proud to admit this, but I would literally jump out of one relationship and into another new one because another new one would distract me from the fact that I was an unhappy person. True story. And I think a lot of you who are unhappy with yourselves are looking to move jobs or looking to move the city that you live in, or you're looking to change your relationship. And the problem isn't where you live. The problem isn't your job. The problem isn't the person that you're with. The problem is how you feel about yourself. If you're not facing a breakup personally in your romantic life, you still want to pay attention because somebody that you care about might be. And this is advice that you can give to them. Also, breakups happen in your career. You might be breaking up with a work situation. You might be breaking up with a friend. I know a lot of us are working hard to draw boundaries and to surround ourselves with more positive people. And we get questions every day about how you do that. And so breaking up with friends can be just as traumatic as breaking up with somebody that is a romantic partner. I have 3 steps to getting over a breakup that I'm going to explain in a minute. But first, I want to explain some research to you to help you put what you're feeling into context. Because what you're going through when you break up with somebody or you're broken up with is you literally go through withdrawal. I'm not kidding. And yeah, I'm using the word withdrawal. Where else do you hear the word withdrawal? You hear the word withdrawal when you hear about people withdrawing from a drug. And that's a lot similar to what you're going through. In fact, there was a study done by neuroscientist Lucy Brown who found that like drug abuse, romantic love begins with that euphoric feeling. It's a high, right? And when the drug leaves your body or the romance leaves your life, what are you left with? You're left with the withdrawal, which is a craving for it. Validate. Number 1, breakups are painful, but they don't need to lead you broken. So I want you to validate where you're at. It's great that you're asking the question. You got to have a little bit of compassion for yourself. You got to understand that you're going to be sad for a while, but please don't pour gasoline on the sadness fire. Please, please, please don't be staring at photos of your ex. Please don't be putting his or her social media face right in front of your face. It's going to make it worse. But definitely validate the sadness because you're going through a major change and it might not be a change that you wanted. Number 2, separate. This is the most important part because the other thing that I don't think any of us realize is that when you get broken up with or you break up with somebody, you don't realize how much of your daily routine and the habits that you have and the way that you go about your day was tied to the person that you're no longer with. And so what you're not only dealing with is not only missing the person, but your whole life schedule may have just been thrown off. Maybe you two went to the same gym in the morning. Maybe you got a text in the morning from this person. Maybe you liked your little FaceTime call at work. Maybe your friend group became their friend group. And now all of a sudden that you're broken up, because you hung out with their friends all the time, you don't have that social life anymore. And so it is so important for you to recognize that you're not only facing the person being gone, but the habits that marked your day and the other people that maybe you hung out with and the things that you did with your time and the music that you listened to and the food that you ate, that those might have all been dictated by the person you were with, and those are changing too. So it's important for you to separate yourself. I think a lot of women in particular, when we get into a relationship, we tend to lose ourselves. We tend to morph into the person that we're dating. I used to do that all the time. And so now we get to the third part. As you start to think about separating, right? So you're validating where you're at, you're separating from this person. We need to get to the third part, which is celebrating you. Now that you're broken up, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to rediscover yourself because I guarantee you lost a bit of yourself in that relationship. And so as you think about the way that the structure of your day has changed, what can you proactively insert that is a celebration of the things that you stopped doing? What have you been keeping yourself from doing because you were in this relationship that would celebrate you? Who are the friends or family members or colleagues that really lift you up? And how can you find more time to hang out with them? This is a time to celebrate a moment when you get to rediscover you.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Mel Robbins, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Literally, it also, when it comes to productivity and focus and fulfillment, it's not when you get up, it's how you get up. And there's all this crazy research. Like, I'm not some sort of like psycho about the alarm clock or the snooze button.